Thank you all so much. It's so amazing to be with you tonight and say a few words.
Tiffany Trump, the youngest daughter of former President Donald Trump, has long maintained a low profile in the public eye. However, recent developments have thrust her back into the spotlight. After her highly publicized wedding to Michael Boulos in 2022, the couple's relationship appeared to be the epitome of fairy tale romance. But behind the scenes, challenges were brewing. Now, in an exclusive revelation, Tiffany breaks her silence, shedding light on the personal struggles that led to a significant turning point in her life. In this video, we delve deep into Tiffany's journey, exploring the complexities of her marriage, the pressures of being in the public eye, and the emotional toll of navigating personal challenges under intense scrutiny. Stay tuned as we uncover the untold story of Tiffany Trump's resilience and the steps she's taking toward healing and self-discovery. The fairy tale wedding. The wedding of Tiffany Trump and Michael Boulos in November 2022 was a true spectacle that captivated not only high society circles but also the general public. Held at the iconic Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, the celebration was a lavish affair that effortlessly blended elegance, opulence, and political significance. It wasn't just a wedding. It was a carefully orchestrated event that symbolized legacy, wealth, and global influence. Every detail, from the floral arrangements to the guest list, was meticulously curated to reflect the prominence of both the Trump and Boulos families. Tiffany, the only child of Donald Trump and Marla Maples, looked radiant as she walked down the aisle escorted by her father, former President Donald Trump. That single moment, Donald beaming with pride beside his daughter, became one of the most talked-about images of the evening. The sight of Ivanka Trump and other family members in attendance added to the grandeur and familial unity the event sought to portray. Michael Boulos, heir to Boulos Enterprises, a multi-billion-dollar Nigerian business empire with strong ties to trading, construction, and retail, brought his own brand of global prestige to the union. Their relationship, though often private, had always been marked by a sense of extravagance. From luxury getaways to high-profile events, the couple never shied away from expressing their affection through grand gestures. And nothing was grander than Michael's proposal. An unforgettable moment that took place in the historic White House Rose Garden with a $1.2 million diamond ring that caught the world's attention. The ceremony itself was infused with symbolism and spectacle. With chandeliers hanging from towering ceilings and guests dressed in haute couture, it looked straight out of a royal playbook. Insiders revealed that the wedding menu was curated by top-tier chefs, and the entertainment included performances from internationally renowned artists. Media outlets across the globe scrambled to cover the event, each capturing the extravagance and emotion of the day. Headlines spoke of a real-life fairy tale, a dazzling moment of unity between two powerful families. But beneath all the glitz, what made the wedding unforgettable was the sense of history. A former first daughter entering a new chapter surrounded by legacy, love, and layers of expectation. Behind closed door, behind the picture-perfect Instagram posts and glamorous red carpet appearances, Tiffany Trump and Michael Boulos were silently navigating the rocky terrain of early married life. From the outside, their union seemed like a modern fairy tale, one that had been broadcast with lavish photos and opulent details. But behind the closed doors of their luxury lifestyle, a different story was unfolding. Insiders began whispering about the mounting tension between the couple only months after their Mar-a-Lago wedding. The pressure cooker of public life had begun to heat up. Tiffany, known for her deeply private nature, found herself at odds with the expectations that came with her last name and her new role as a wife in a high-profile marriage. Having grown up largely outside the spotlight compared to her older half-siblings, Tiffany wasn't accustomed to the relentless media attention that followed her every move after the wedding. And now, every smile, every public appearance, and every missed social post was dissected for hidden meaning. Sources close to the couple described frequent disagreements, not about love, but about lifestyle, priorities, and pressure. Michael, raised in a world of fast-paced global business, often jetted between countries on behalf of the Boulos family empire. Meanwhile, Tiffany, newly graduated from Georgetown Law and grappling with her identity outside her father's shadow, was seeking stability and a sense of personal purpose. The distance, both emotional and literal, began to create fissures. Another layer of stress came from the unavoidable comparisons to Tiffany's siblings, especially Ivanka Trump, who has long mastered the art of managing a public-private balance. The media didn't hesitate to contrast Tiffany's more subdued presence with Ivanka's polished brand, only amplifying the pressure Tiffany felt to live up to an invisible standard. What no one saw were the long, drawn-out conversations behind the scenes, late-night debates about where to live, how to balance family expectations, and how to maintain authenticity when every detail of their lives was under scrutiny. Friends reported that Tiffany became increasingly withdrawn from social events and was selective about whom she trusted. Even her once bubbly social media presence took a noticeable dip in activity, further fueling speculation that all was not well in paradise. Reports also suggested that Tiffany struggled with the weight of public assumptions. Everyone seemed to expect perfection, from her marriage, her style, and her smile. But the pressure to keep up appearances began to erode her emotional well-being. Michael, for all his devotion, was also adjusting to life as the spouse of a Trump, a name that brings fame, wealth, and unrelenting media heat. That adjustment, according to those close to the couple, was far from smooth. As their story unfolded away from the spotlight, it became clear: fairy tales don't always come without thorns. And for Tiffany and Michael, the honeymoon phase faded faster than anyone could have imagined. The turning point. The glitz and pressure of Tiffany Trump's high-profile life had reached a tipping point. In an unexpected and emotionally raw moment, she publicly admitted what many had suspected behind the scenes: she was struggling. During a rare candid interview, Tiffany shared that she had reached a moment of clarity. "I had to step back and reevaluate what truly matters. Sometimes you have to let go to heal and grow." Those words, spoken without pretense, peeled back the layers of her guarded persona and revealed a woman ready to take back control of her life. For Tiffany, the decision wasn't just about walking away from a struggling relationship. It was about stepping into her own identity. The expectations of being a Trump daughter, the public scrutiny surrounding her marriage, and the internal pressure to maintain a perfect image had all begun to weigh her down. She chose not to continue performing for the cameras. Instead, she pressed pause, opting for something rare in her world: silence, introspection, and a private path to healing. This pivotal moment marked a clear shift. No longer was Tiffany playing the role assigned to her by her last name or her marriage. She started prioritizing therapy, surrounding herself with a smaller, more trustworthy circle of friends, and engaging in activities that brought her genuine happiness, away from cameras, headlines, and designer gowns. Sources close to her revealed that Tiffany turned back to the creative interests she had shelved in pursuit of a more polished, socially acceptable image. She rekindled her love for music, took interest in humanitarian causes, and started journaling regularly, a practice that allowed her to process her emotions without filters. In the chaos of the past year, these small but deliberate steps became her anchor. What made Tiffany's transformation so striking wasn't the dramatic nature of it, it was how quietly it happened. She didn't need a viral moment or a major media reveal. Her silence, her subtle changes, and her willingness to confront pain spoke volumes. This was not a publicity move, it was a personal revolution. In reclaiming her voice, Tiffany didn't just break her silence, she redefined it. She began speaking not for the cameras or the public, but for herself. And in doing so, she found something far more powerful than public approval: peace, rebuilding, and rediscovery. Tiffany Trump's journey into self-discovery marked the beginning of a profound transformation. No longer content with living in the shadows of her family name or being defined by a high-profile relationship, she began to rebuild her identity from the ground up. What emerged was a more grounded, intentional version of herself, one focused on authenticity, purpose, and inner peace. Surrounded by a small but loyal inner circle, Tiffany turned to the people who had always been her anchors, her mother, Marla Maples, and a few trusted friends who offered support without judgment. With them, she found space to breathe, reflect, and heal, free from the expectations that had once weighed her down. These relationships became her safe haven, helping her rebuild the emotional foundation she had lost in the whirlwind of public life. Philanthropy became a key outlet for her renewed sense of self. Tiffany quietly began involving herself in charitable initiatives, particularly those focused on education, women's empowerment, and mental health awareness. Unlike her past appearances at glittering galas or staged events, these efforts weren't designed for the spotlight. They were genuine extensions of her values, an attempt to make a real impact in the lives of others, and perhaps even find healing through giving. This new chapter also brought a dramatic shift in her online presence. Tiffany's social media, once known for its carefully curated luxury snapshots and posed perfection, began to reflect her inner evolution. Instead of designer labels and party photos, followers started seeing heartfelt captions, unfiltered moments, and glimpses into her day-to-day life. It wasn't a complete rebrand. It was a revelation, a rare glimpse into the real Tiffany. The change struck a chord. Comments poured in from fans and strangers alike, applauding her bravery for showing vulnerability and stepping into her truth. In a world where public figures often hide behind perfect facades, Tiffany's honesty stood out. It made her more relatable, more human, and, in many ways, more powerful. This period wasn't about reinvention. It was about rediscovery. Stripped of titles, expectations, and public personas, Tiffany Trump was beginning to understand who she was at her core. And though the journey was far from over, it was clear that she had found something invaluable along the way: the strength to be unapologetically herself. The support system. Tiffany Trump's path to healing wasn't one she walked alone. Through every private struggle and public storm, she leaned on the unwavering support of the people who knew her best and loved her unconditionally, her family. Chief among them was her mother, Marla Maples, who has long been a steady and compassionate force in Tiffany's life. As someone who also experienced the complexities of life in the Trump spotlight, Marla offered not just motherly love, but genuine understanding. She encouraged Tiffany to find her happiness outside the media circus and to choose her well-being over public perception. Marla's gentle wisdom became a guiding light in her daughter's journey through heartbreak and rediscovery. Tiffany also found unexpected but powerful support in her half-sister, Ivanka Trump. Though their lives had often taken separate paths, this difficult chapter brought the two closer together. Ivanka, known for her polished image and political involvement, was there with heartfelt advice and an empathetic ear. Sources close to the family shared that Ivanka made it a point to check in regularly, offering both practical guidance and emotional encouragement. In moments when Tiffany felt overwhelmed or uncertain, Ivanka was the calm voice on the other end of the phone, reminding her she didn't have to have all the answers. These family dynamics, though often scrutinized and speculated upon by the public, became a crucial lifeline. In a world that rarely gives public figures the space to be vulnerable, Tiffany's relationships with Marla and Ivanka became her refuge. They gave her permission to take a step back, to reset, and to figure out what truly mattered without judgment or pressure. Beyond family, Tiffany's circle of close friends also played a vital role. These weren't socialite companions or fair-weather acquaintances. They were longtime friends who had seen her through college, career shifts, and the ups and downs of growing up in a political dynasty. Their presence offered a sense of normalcy and safety, a stark contrast to the chaos of the headlines swirling around her name. This web of support became the scaffolding for Tiffany's healing. When the glitter of public life faded and the realities of her emotional challenges set in, it was the people who loved her behind closed doors who helped her rise again. Family, once viewed by some as a pressure, had quietly become her power. Public reaction. When Tiffany Trump finally broke her silence, it was as if the floodgates opened, not just for her, but for the public discourse surrounding fame, pressure, and emotional well-being. Reactions were immediate and polarized. Some people applauded her candor, viewing it as a bold and empowering move. Others, however, were skeptical, questioning the timing of her revelations and accusing her of using her struggles for attention or sympathy. In a media landscape where every move is dissected, Tiffany's honesty became both celebrated and scrutinized. Social media platforms lit up with commentary. Supporters praised her vulnerability and saw her as a relatable figure stepping out of the long shadow cast by the Trump name. They highlighted how refreshing it was to see someone from such a high-profile family speak so openly about personal battles. "It takes real courage to admit you're not okay," one user tweeted, "especially when the world expects you to be perfect." That sentiment resonated deeply with people who had followed her journey, many of whom had never seen this side of Tiffany before. On the flip side, critics questioned her motives. Some accused her of orchestrating a publicity stunt, using emotional revelations to rebrand herself or gain relevance. A few suggested her timing, following rumors about her marriage and private life, was suspiciously convenient. But even amid the noise and negativity, Tiffany stayed the course. She didn't respond to the backlash or try to justify herself. Instead, she let her actions speak louder, continuing to focus on her personal growth and maintaining a quiet presence online that reflected a more grounded version of herself. What truly stood out in the public's reaction was the way Tiffany's story opened up broader conversations about the toll of fame and the stigma around mental health. Many found her willingness to seek therapy and prioritize her well-being inspiring. It sparked real, meaningful dialogue across comment sections, talk shows, and online forums. People began sharing their own experiences, crediting Tiffany's transparency as a catalyst for their own self-reflection. In a world where vulnerability is often seen as weakness, Tiffany Trump's decision to speak her truth challenged that narrative. Whether praised or criticized, she had started a conversation, and for many, that was the most powerful part of her revelation. Moving forward. Tiffany Trump's transformation hasn't just been about moving on. It's been about stepping into a future she's designing for herself, on her own terms. After a period of intense introspection and emotional healing, she's now more grounded, more self-aware, and more in tune with the life she wants to lead. The lessons she's taken from personal trials have only made her stronger, and with that strength comes a renewed sense of direction. She's begun exploring opportunities that speak to her interests rather than those handed to her by default. Fashion, a longtime passion of hers, is something she's looking to pursue with intention, whether through design, collaboration, or philanthropic partnerships that blend style with social good. At the same time, she's shown growing interest in advocacy work, particularly in areas like mental health and women's empowerment, topics that now hold deeper meaning for her. Despite the weight of her last name, Tiffany is pushing forward with clarity and independence. She's no longer trying to fit into the mold expected of a Trump. Instead, she's carving out a space where her voice, her values, and her authenticity take center stage. There's still uncertainty, as with any major life pivot, but Tiffany is approaching it with courage and curiosity. Her story reflects a rare kind of strength, the willingness to change the narrative, to walk away from comfort zones, and to bet on herself. And as she continues to grow and evolve, Tiffany Trump is proving that the most powerful legacy you can build is the one that comes from within. Tiffany Trump's journey from silence to strength has been nothing short of revealing. Her decision to speak out, focus on healing, and embrace a life beyond the spotlight shows a side the public rarely sees: real, raw, and unapologetically human. As she continues to rewrite her narrative and step confidently into the future, her story serves as a reminder that even those in the most public of roles deserve the space to grow, heal, and evolve. If you found this story compelling or inspiring, Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the real lives behind the headlines. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our next update. And we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Tiffany's journey? Drop your opinions and reactions in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay real.